Good day, everyone. So, I am Riza Fernandez Chua, and for today, I will be discussing my lesson plan defense. So, the topic or the lesson that I chose is all about identifying letters and tracing letters in correct format. So, um, writing is hugely important in life skill. Now, before the student begin expressing their ideas, they need to work on their penmanship. So this simple lesson helps students with the basic of writing the letters of the alphabets. Now, so as a preschooler teacher, I must need first to teach them the basic learning, and that's why I chose this topic in order to develop their writing skills and identify the letters. Now, providing young children with rich writing experiences can lay a foundation for literacy learning. Now, when we talk about the students, we may see that some of the students knows how to write and even write or trace letters, and we see students have their individual differences when they are learning and listening to the teacher. Now, as a future educator, to individualize the writing skill, they need to be supported at the same time, foster other important early literacy skills through writing to develop young learners in learning and develop their skills. Now, let's move on to the next slide. Now, here we will talk about the objectives. So, in the end of this lesson, the student should be able to first is to identify and trace letters of alphabets in correct format. Next is to read and pronounce correctly the letter, then write the given letters accordingly to its position along the lines. And lastly is to appreciate the importance of learning alphabets. Now let's move on to the next slide. Now here, we will talk about the subject matter. So the topic is all about alphabets and tracing letters in correct format. Now here, we have the materials that I was able, I used in demonstrating it to the young learners. Now, I use pictures, the flashcards, writing sheets, the double-sided tape, cartolina, scissors, and the glue. Let's move on to the next slide. So here is the third one is the learning activities. Now, the teacher's activity. So here is a preparation on how the first thing that I do when I teach my lesson for the young students. So first thing to do is the attendance. So I'll check the attendance before I'll introduce myself, the greetings, and followed by the prayer and the energizer. So for the motivation here, I use the song, the my toes, my knees, my shoulder, and my head. So now I also use I ask the students to give me some examples of the alphabets. So here, as you can see, the students are really knows what are the alphabets. Now let's move on to the next slide. Now for the guided practice, Here, I'll use the a sample tracing letters. Now, to enhance their writing skills. So, the example letter which they trace is the letter A, and let's move on to the next slide. The letter A, the baby A, the mama B, and the baby B. So, next. Now, in addition to guided practice, now I'll ask my students to come to the front and try to trace a letter by following my directions, how I'll write it and how I'll write it in the board on the board. Now, I'll assist them in front and help them to fix any errors they might make. So I ensure that they follow the order, arrows, and numbers while tracing the letters. Slide. So the enumeration. So now in this activity, I give them some sample paper that they will be writing or tracing the letters accordingly. And lastly is the assignment. So here I'll give the details on how they will do their assignment to be able to pass for the activity, the next activity that we will be doing. So that will be all for my lesson plan. Thank you for listening.